I may not know a lot, but one thing I do know is basketball. I told y'all, go back and look at my short about the Notre Dame Vanderbilt game. I just could tell the way that it was shaping up that it was going to be a good second half. I've watched too much basketball. I've played too much basketball, and basketball is just a pattern most of the time. So go back and watch that, but I'm going to give you a quick recap on what I talked about, what happened in the first half, and then we'll talk about the second half. So basically what happened was Notre Dame was just turning over Vanderbilt left and right. We saw Hildago, I can't even talk. Hildago tie her best with 7 steals in the first half, and Notre Dame's best offense was simply off of Vanderbilt steals and in transition offense. Once they slowed that down, and Vanderbilt had 20 turnovers in the third quarter, which is absurd, but once they slowed that down, I knew that Vanderbilt would make a comeback, because as crazy as it was, as crazy as Notre Dame was turning over Vanderbilt, the crazy thing about it was they were only down by like 5 at the half, and Mikayla Blakes was having a terrible first half. She was 6 of 6 from the free throw line, but other than that, she made 1 field goal. And if you've watched basketball, you know that most of the time you cannot keep a good player down. And this is what happened. They made adjustments at halftime. Notre Dame was not getting the turnovers that they were the first half, and it made for a good second half. So let's talk about it. First of all, if you are not a basketball fan, I don't want to get into controversy, but if you are not a basketball fan of Hannah Hildago, then what is wrong with you if you call yourself a basketball fan? Because she is a straight menace on the basketball court. She is a dog. Everything that you teach players to be growing up and you want them to be, she is that. She knows who she is when it comes to being a defensive-minded player, and she gets her offense off of that. And I think that this had a lot to do with their win. But she reminds me a lot of Skylar Diggins, and it's not by coincidence that Skylar Diggins is her mentor, but that same fire, that same competitive spirit, and that same passion that she plays with is the same competitiveness, fire, and passion that we have seen and grown to love from Skylar Diggins since her Notre Dame days. So I see that same thing with Hannah Hildago, and it is refreshing and it's fun to watch, because in a world of basketball now, where there's so much emphasis on players just wanting to play offense, we see Hannah Hildago getting it done on the defensive end, and it makes my heart glad. It makes my heart happy. Is she trash when it comes to offensively? Absolutely not. Not by a long shot. But she first gets started on that defensive end, and then the offense takes care of itself. That's a true baller. That's a true basketball player right there. That is a true dog. All right. So let's talk about this second half and what went down. So we see that, first of all, let me say this. Notre Dame won this game because they know who they are. They know their identity. And when you know who you are, you don't try to be someone else, but you are the best at what you do. That's a life lesson in itself. But they weren't trying to be Vanderbilt. They stuck to who they were and playing Notre Dame basketball. And at the end, they came out victorious. Whether it be by 2 points, 3 points, 20, 30 points, they stuck to who they were and they came out victorious. Now, what happened in the second half? I was a little bit nervous, because as soon as the third quarter started, what did Hannah Hildago do? She went down and weaved right. She didn't even have to weave that much, but she went straight down and scored a layup. And I was like, well, this ain't good. Because I thought it was going to be more of what it was in that first half. So, but that it wasn't quite like that, because we see that Vanderbilt extended their defense, right? And they extended their defense, which caused the ball to be out of Notre Dame's best player, who happens to be Hannah Hildago, and it forced her to get rid of the ball when they were sending two. And what happened? The other players from Notre Dame started to get the ball, and what did they do? They started to shoot threes, and I think they might have hit one or two, and when that was going on, when they were pressuring. Other than that, they were long rebounds, which gave rebounds, and Vanderbilt secured the ball, and so it was a stop. And so then Vanderbilt, when I was in school, or when I played college, it was, you wanted to get a stop, score, stop. And so it allowed them to get a stop, a score. Now I can't remember if they got another stop or whatever, but it allowed them to get that stop that they had been needing so badly in the first half, because it forced Notre Dame's players to take those corner threes. They did. They missed majority of them, which created opportunity for Vanderbilt. So we see that Notre Dame, honestly, when it started the second half, Hannah Hildago, she scored an easy layup. Then we saw, I can't remember who else, but they scored an easy layup, and Vanderbilt was going to have to tighten up, and they did that, which is how they ended up coming back. But we saw also that Mikayla Blakes, and this is a lesson to my young players out there. We saw Mikayla Blakes go down and get fouled. No foul call. Come down, Hannah Hildago attacks. It looks almost the exact same, and she gets a foul call. Why is this? Well, a lot of times it depends on how you are attacking the goal. Are you attacking just to go get a foul call? You just throwing up some junk? Or are you going to score, or going to drive with the intent to score? Not only that makes a difference. Sometimes the refs will not bail you out. So if they know you're just going down there and just throwing up something, they won't bail you out. But if you actually go attack hard and you're looking to score and get an and one, then they will reward you for that. But let me put you up on game real quick too. Refs reward hard work and effort. So if you've been busting your tail all game long, like Hannah Hildago had been doing on the defensive end, then they are more susceptible to giving you foul calls. That's just the nature of it. So Mikayla Blakes could go down there, get fouled, they not call it, and then same thing happens with Hannah Hildago. She goes down, get the foul call. Refs sometimes unknowingly do this because they favor their people. They favor the player who has been playing hard. And I believe that had something to do with Hannah Hildago getting that call and Mikayla Blakes not getting it on the other end. Now, would Mikayla Blakes have gotten that in another game? Absolutely, because she is a superstar. But that particular possession, she did not. And what's my girl name? Oh, Hildago was rewarded, I believe, for that. So we see that it was a little shaky in the third quarter. I ain't gonna lie. I'm like, Vanderbilt, you got opportunities here. You see that they got you. You see that you were able to stop Notre Dame, especially like I said on those threes. But there were times where they were not capitalizing off of Notre Dame's missed shots, and this had me concerned a little bit. Mikayla Blakes, at the end of the third quarter, was 3 of 18. She was 3 of 18, so she still had not really gotten going yet. All right, but now the fourth quarter comes, and I said that Hannah Hildago came out in the third quarter with an easy layup. It was actually the fourth quarter. That's what I have in my notes, and I'm just like, crud. But even at the end of the third quarter, it still seemed like it was leaning towards Notre Dame, but as much as Notre Dame controlled this game, and this is how I figured it would be a close game, as much as it seemed like they can control the game, Vanderbilt was right there on their heels, and Vanderbilt was not necessarily playing a good game. But I'm going to go over why I believe they were able to stay in the game. So I already talked about this. Vanderbilt extended their defense. I would have liked to see this sooner. I thought that they waited a little bit late. I thought that if they would have done this sooner, then they would have gotten the lead, or at least it would have been closer sooner, because that would have made Notre Dame's other players, other than Hannah Hildago, that would have put the ball in their hands. And let's be honest, if you are a Notre Dame fan, you want the ball in Hannah Hildago's hands. Even if it's not to score, she's just the best player. She makes stuff happen. Like at the end of the fourth quarter where she got the ball, it was close to being a turnover. She found the girl, made that beautiful pass around the girl's leg and for the layup. So you want the ball in her hands. So if they would have extended their defense sooner, then it would have benefited them. So I thought that they did this kind of late, and I think it hurts them. One thing my dad always told me growing up, and I have seen as I've played basketball and coached for many years now, is the fact that pressing teams and teams that press hate to be pressed, and they hate to receive pressure. So this is why, and that's the name of the game for Notre Dame. I did not like seeing a lot of times where they were not sending two at Hannah Hildago. They were just playing back. I would have liked them to have pressed up sooner. Teams that press and teams that apply pressure hate the same thing. More than likely, they are going to throw away that basketball, or they're going to rush shots, which provides opportunities for you. So I thought they were a little late in applying this. We saw that it was effective when they did. All right. So let me say this about Hannah Hildago. I have this in my notes because she got a steal or whatever as she was doing the whole game, but in the first quarter, and I think it was against Galvan, but she exposes you. And what I mean by that is all those little things that your coach or your trainer tells you to do, then she will expose you if you are not doing those things. So if they're saying protect the ball, use that arm, use your body to be between the ball and the defender. If you are not doing that, keep the ball high. We saw she got a steal or something off of that when the post player dropped it low. You will be able to get away with that against a lazy defender, or against somebody who is not for real trying, or who is not pursuing that basketball. But when you have somebody who is a menace and they are pursuing the basketball at all times, then you have to have your head on the swivel, and you have to use all of those fundamentals that your coach, that your trainer, or whoever was telling you to use. Because as soon as you don't, Hannah Hildago is going to get that basketball. Because she's looking for it. She wants the basketball. She's going after it. So as soon as you don't do one of those little things, she will expose you. That's why it is important for you not to get comfortable doing those things that not practicing the fundamentals, because you will face somebody like her who will expose you. So that's my teaching moment right there. That's one of my teaching moments. She will expose you. All right. So this is what I want to talk about too, because this happened at a crucial point in the game, and it's basketball IQ. I was just talking about fundamentals, and I'm talking about basketball IQ for a second, which is in the game. But these are teachable things that I want you to be mindful of if you play the game, or if you have a child who plays the game, or you're a coach or whatever. But basketball IQ is important. Basketball IQ is very important, and this is why. Because Mikayla Blakes missed a layup. The game was tied at this point. They had fought back, and she missed a layup, and Notre Dame got the basketball, and Vanderbilt's player did this and let Hannah Hildago go down the floor. Well, what had Hannah Hildago been doing all game long? And I told y'all was Notre Dame's best offense of the night. It was off of their steals, and it was off of transition offense. Now, the only justification I'm going to give this is if the girl was in foul trouble. But at that moment, she should have fouled. She should have fouled Hannah Hildago. And the reason why is because Hannah Hildago, the ball game was tied, but they were not back in defense. So she pushed the ball and scored a layup. And so right when you had tied the game, you gave her an opportunity to go straight down court and score, which you had the momentum, but it shifted the momentum. And so this is the importance of basketball IQ. This is the importance of knowing I need to foul here. Now be mindful that you got to be mindful that you need to know your team fouls, and because you don't want to put them in bonus, and you need to know how many fouls that you have. But that's just knowing and being involved in the game. That's different level type thinking. All right. So also, what I saw was execution was poor, in my opinion, kind of for both teams down the line. We saw coaches call timeouts, but even with that, I would have liked to see a play to where they got an easy bucket. We see that it was around 3 minutes where it was a close ball game that Vanderbilt had the opportunity to take the lead. And instead of getting something good, I know that coach has trusted her players all year long, and this was an example of her trusting them. But I would have liked to see her call a timeout and draw something up because this is having a feel of the game and is knowing time and score. So you fought back in order to tie the ball game up. You don't want to give Notre Dame an opportunity to go down and take the lead. So every possession in that 3 minute mark and under, that matters. And so this just wasn't a possession where you just wanted to throw something up. This was a possession where you wanted to get a score to then put the pressure on Notre Dame, because you have to understand you have come back. You have the momentum. Now the pressure is on Notre Dame, and they are feeling the fire that has been turned up by you. But instead, Galvan goes down and she throws up a bad shot that I didn't like. It was like a lean into one side, and she just threw it up, and of course they missed the shot. Now, instead of capitalizing off that momentum and coming back, now you have given Notre Dame the opportunity to go down and score. It's like a game of pig. All right, you fought back. Now they've missed the shot, and now the pressure's on you, or not the pressure. You want to make the shot so that you can then put the pressure on them. All right, I know that's a iffy illustration, but that's true. All right. And I thought that Vanderbilt did a bad job of doing that. Basketball is a game of runs, and it's a game of momentum. So every time that you have the opportunity to shift that momentum back in your favor, that's what you want to do. But that's time and score. That's what my dad used to teach me when I was younger, especially as a point guard. Time and score, time and score, time and score. You have to take control of the game. I will not fault Galvan for this because she's a freshman, and so she's learning. But I would have liked to see coach call a timeout, get something better, because time and score, time and score, time and score. It's okay to do it when you got 4 minutes, 5 minutes, but when you get 3 minutes and under, you have to take advantage of each and every possession. All right. So, okay, now let's talk about it, because this is something that I told y'all could possibly happen, and we saw it a little bit. Now, good thing for Notre Dame is that they were able to withstand it. Okay. But we saw what I told y'all that I felt that would haunt Notre Dame in the second half, or had the potential to haunt them, was that they had 5 players who had 2 fouls. And that was an example of them, or that was the result of them being aggressive defensively. Well, the other side of that is when you're aggressive defensively, then sometimes that means you are in foul trouble. And so Hannah Hildago, fortunately for her, picked up her 4th foul with I think only like 56.7 seconds left or something like that in the 4th quarter. But if Vanderbilt would have had that momentum that I was talking about, then they easily could have fouled Hannah Hildago out. But She stayed in the game, but instead, De Jesus for Notre Dame, she ended up fouling out. And why was this? Because Vanderbilt, the reason why I said I would come back to this, the reason why Vanderbilt was able to stay in the game, a large reason was because of free throws. Vanderbilt was 19 of 23 one time in the fourth quarter, which allowed them to stay in the game. And listen to what Notre Dame was. Notre Dame was 9 of 11. So that meant that Vanderbilt had 12 more free throws than Notre Dame did. And the game was not a 10 or 12 point game throughout. It was much closer than that, even though Notre Dame dominated Vanderbilt pretty much the entire game. So that was, I think, a large part of how Vanderbilt stayed in the game. But we saw down the line, I wish that Vanderbilt would have attacked even more so, especially with those players, 5 of their players, because Notre Dame isn't deep, 5 of their players having 2 fouls. It would have been good for them to stop that clock and to be able to live at the free throw line a little bit more. It definitely would have favored the game, definitely would have favored them if they would have taken more advantage of that. But we saw down the line that both teams started to miss free throws in crucial moments of the game. And Mikayla Blakes missed one. And then my girl from Notre Dame, I can't think of her name. I'm drawing a blank. But she missed one. She made the second one. But that's when that game was right there. But, yeah, I got my next note is Hannah Hildago. She had 4 fouls with 56 seconds left. Like I said, knowing that, you definitely want to attack that second half. I would have lived at the free throw line. That would have thrown Notre Dame off of their rhythm because they want to play fast. They want to turn you over. But if you're living at the free throw line, it would have thrown them off. But I will say this, even though Galvan took that bad shot, Galvan is no joke. She says she trains with Jewel Lloyd, and I think she says she studied Jason Williams and Steve Nash. No wonder the girl can play. She's a student of the game, and she's working out with one of the best players in the world in Jewel Lloyd. But that girl is going to be something serious. She already had a phenomenal freshman year. She showed up in this game in the Sweet 16. Even when Mikayla Blakes was not, she showed up. Her future is bright. I cannot wait to see what she does next year because I know that she's going to continue to develop and get better. So y'all keep Galvan on your list. She has potential to be a great point guard, but I loved what she did this season. But we see that Vanderbilt at the very end forces a missed shot, but what do you not give up at the end when you force a missed shot? And that is an offensive rebound. And they gave it up, which allowed Notre Dame to get the ball back. And honestly, that was that. They got the ball back and scored, and that was the game. And Hannah Hildago, oh my gosh. Like I said, if you are not a basketball fan of Hannah Hildago, then you might need to question yourself. Because the girl scored or assisted on 25 of Notre Dame's 32 second half points. She was involved from the tip off until the very end of the game. I don't even know if she got subbed out. But it don't matter. She don't care. She want to play the whole game. But what a clinic she put on. And honestly, yes, she did some good basketball things. But my gosh, her heart. Her heart is second to none. I would have her on my team any day. Any day I am taking Hannah Hildago on my team because you will not have more heart than she has. And it's a testament to who she is as a person. I know she's strong in her faith, but it's just, my gosh. But lessons to learn from this game. I have accountability. And the reason I have accountability is that, Notre Dame started off, they were not a good team, and I'm not necessarily going to say they're a good team now, but they were good. They're good enough to make it to the Elite Eight. But it starts with them taking accountability. They looked bad at the beginning of the season. You almost wondered, like, ooh, Notre Dame might not make it far in the tournament at all, but coach said that they owned up to what they were doing and they took accountability. We also see a lesson learned, because I love the fact that that you guys watch my videos, but I also want to leave you with some lessons that I picked up from this game. So accountability. This is in basketball, but it is also in life. Take accountability. That's the only way that you can really get better. Because if you're not being held accountable or you're not taking accountability, then you'll make an excuse for it, and you cannot get better off of excuses. So we see that defense wins games. You've heard offense sells tickets and defense wins not only games, but championships. I don't think they have enough to win a championship this year, but they definitely had enough defense to win this game. We see the importance, lesson learned number 3, the importance of identity and knowing who you are. Notre Dame didn't try to be Vanderbilt. They didn't try to be UConn. They didn't try to be South Carolina. They didn't try to be LSU. They didn't try to be anybody other than themselves. That's a defensive minded team, starting with their leader in Hannah Hildago, knowing who she is. That's why it's important that your leader knows who she is, because she accepts who she is and the team will follow suit. So, importance of knowing who you are. Another lesson is not how you start, but it's how you finish. As I said, Notre Dame looked rough at the beginning of the season, and now they are going to the Elite Eight. My last lesson that I have for you guys: free throws. Free throws, free throws, free throws. Mikayla Blake ended up being, at one point she was 10 for 10. She missed one down the stretch, so maybe she was like 11 of 12, something like that, 12, 13, something like that. But she was having a bad first half, but she was 6 of 6 in the first half. Vanderbilt shot at least 12, 13, 14 more free throws than Notre Dame, which kept them in the game. So don't neglect free throws. I see so many kids coming in. They want to shoot the threes. We know we don't see mid-range game that much anymore, even though you do see it in the women's game. I feel like we see it in the women's game more than we see it in the men's game, other than our OGs like KD and, people like that. DeMar DeRozan really isn't an OG, but we see it SGA. So you definitely still have some mid-range assassins, but I feel like that we especially see it in the women's game. Especially seeing the women's game, but which helped with your free throw, because a free throw, all it is a mid-range shot. But the importance of free throws, I cannot emphasize this enough. But lessons again: number 1, taking accountability. Number 2, defense wins games. Number 3, it's important that you know your identity and you know who you are, because that way you don't have to compete trying to be somebody else or another team, and you can be the very best at what it is that you do and who you are. Number 4 is not how you start, it's how you finish. And then number 5, free throws, free throws, free throws. So this was the first game of the day. It was a good one. Vanderbilt started off a little rocky. They will learn. They lived and they will learn, and I am confident they will come back next season. But I also will say that Notre Dame looked like they had been there before. Hannah Hildago looked like she had been there before. Mikayla Blakes did not look like that she had been there before. Galvan, she stepped up to the point. But now since they've been there and they've gotten a taste of it, I believe that they will come back and they will be good next year and that they will be ready for it. So, first game of the night. This is a wrap. Now, got to go watch UConn, North Carolina. And y'all be sure to check out that video, because I'll do a recap on that one. Might not be too long, I ain't going to lie, because I believe that UConn going to take care of business as UConn does. But y'all stay tuned for that next video. All right? We out.